There's a concentrated effort to stop it. They'll do anything to stop us, especially now. Because where is our opposition?
He's been fighting for us for so long. So many schools of thoughts we've been through, yeah, to keep us strong. So tell me, what is it that you're willing to do to make our dreams come true? Yeah, make our dreams come true. Been a long time coming, but now we're here. So won't you stand up and show no fear? For the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. 'Cause he's a man of the hour. They kidnapped him for building Tamare. He put his life on the line for us all. And for the truth, the lies must fade away. Fade away. It's been a long time coming. Yes, let's be strong. For the 7 seals are breaking. It won't be long to make our dreams come true. For a life that's new. Some are called and few are chosen. And how about you? For the master, master teacher. Freedom 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 for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Think not that we are earthborn, we come from earth, we may be, but we are life-born spirit, and without knowing we can never be free. Knowledge of this was lost when we were cast into blindness. The master teacher came and broke the chains of bondage. For the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, bring the master teacher. Bring the freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, bring the master teacher. Bring the freedom for the master, master teacher. 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 Freedom for the master.
They did everything in their power to take this land and make sure that what's happening right now does not go on. They tried every trick in the book. They ain't finished. They tried slander, defamation of character. They tried to lock brothers up, harass sisters on the street, stop every car coming down, and make sure they did everything they could. And not one person come out and help us. Why? Because they had us marked as a cult. Oh, there's some crazy suicide cult. There's a concentrated effort to stop it. They'll do anything to stop us, especially now. Because where is our opposition?
He's been fighting for us for so long. So many schools of thoughts we've been through, yeah, to keep us strong. So tell me, what is it that you're willing to do to make our dreams come true? Yeah, make our dreams come true. Been a long time coming, but now we're here. So won't you stand up and show no fear? For the master, teacher, freedom for the master, master teacher. Cause he's a man of the hour. They kidnapped him for building Tamare. He put his life on the line for us all. And for the truth the lies must fade away. Fade away. It's been a long time coming. Yes, let's be strong. For the 7 seals are breaking. It won't be long to make our dreams come true. For a life that's new. Some are called and few are chosen. Said, how about for you? The master, master teacher. Freedom for 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 the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom. Think not that we are earthborn, we come from earth, we may be, but we are life on spirit, and without knowing we can never be free. Knowledge of this was lost when we were cast into blindness. The master teacher came and broke the chains of bondage. For the master, master teacher, freedom.
Rahubat family. Rahubat Muesar. Greetings family, how you all doing? Good to be back. Yeah, let's see who's on. Daniel Star Rahubat, Oklahoma in the house. Supreme Tat Ray Rahubat, Gabat Woosh Ashok Rahubat, and yeah, divine love to you too. 7011 ATL in the building, Rahubat. Nancy Rahubat, greetings from North California. Okay, cool, Rahubat. Jason Mason in the house, Rahubat Moisa. Hotep Ashok, Rahubat. K7. Coco Brown, Rahubat. George Beaton, Rahubat. Florida in the house. Yeah, Jason Mason's from Massachusetts. Yeah, Rahubat everyone. Ashok to everyone joining. Remember, each one teach one, each one reach one. So send a link out, let people know we're live. We just wait for more people to join, and then we can get into your questions. And as usual, let's make the main thing and give thanks to Partner Bab Yanun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, the reformer, the guide, our father. We affectionately refer to as Partner Bab Yanun. I'm going to post a few links in the chat. So look out for the chat, because we post things in there all the time throughout the show. Or shall I say throughout the Q&A. So those who want to help and support, you can also do your part in helping us to bring the Master Teacher home. Yeah, share the links, let everyone know we're live. There's a link I'm about to post in the chat right now. Oh man. One sec, got to take this quickly. Hey, Robot. Okay, so live. This is live, you know. So yeah, I've just posted a link in the chat where you, oh, I did it twice. Yeah, change.org, where you can help us sign the petition. All right, so you can do just that one thing that would help. That would help a lot. So, you know, look out. We'll probably post it again throughout. I'm about to post one more and then we can get started. Okay, this is a bit slow. What's going on? Okay, all right, I'll post it as we go along, right? For those who want to help support the legal for Partner Yanun. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read a message, right? This is called a message of Yanun. Yeah, message of Yanun. So I'm just going to read something first. Page 2. The Father loves his children so very much that he incarnated for them, and as many of them who accept what he came down to give will not perish with this world. Those who accept their fate, not faith, will return from where they originated to be with him. Okay, so just wanted to read that because when you hear that quote in the scriptures where it says, "For God so loved the world that he sent his son," and there's some of them in the mis or distortion, they say his only begotten son to come and do it instead of him coming himself. But in this case, when you're dealing with Wu-Sabat, he says, I'll read it one more time. The Father loves his children so very much that he incarnated for them. And as many of them who accept what he came down to give will not perish with this world. Those who accept their fate, F-A-T-E, and not faith, F-A-I-T-H, will return from where they originated to be with him. All right? So we're saying we've got our Father, Partner Yanun, the Master Teacher, who was incarnated because he loves us so much. All right, so we never take that for granted. And, you know, so we just want to give that reverence. And I'm going to read something. It says here, on page 7, you must tune in to realign, to raise your vibration to a certain level. Your ancestors, your etheric parents, yeah, Yasarkum, your family will be there to guide you through the gates. When that time comes, you must be ready. You must not let the disagreeable Salafi ancestors or outside influences deter you and cause you to descend lower than you are. Two beings will come, Munkar and Nakar, demon beings with black skin and blue eyes, who will try to trick you with religious questions. Ignore them and think on my own relatives, my own ancestors, and they will fade from sight. You must pass through 9, or shall I say you must pass through the 9 gates of Mawat, death, to leave this realm. The gates shift like the second hand on a clock. In each Madurar realm are beings, some good, others wicked, most trapped over time. Not all are Haman'u Ka'a, human spirits. Some are demons of other realms, and Muthathalu, extraterrestrials, who came in and could not get out. After a wicked person dies, the first 9 hours, they linger near their katat, their body, until all the life is out of their dhamma, brain, and then you can separate. Yet, for 60 to 90 days, you can visit using those close to you. Meanwhile, you will be taken by munsabu, relatives, who pass before you to go to spirit orientation on the rules of the spirit world and to see if you will have to return to Taha, earth, or be reborn. Some will return right away within Wanut'at, hours of their Mawat, death. Others reincarnate into new bodies to live out what they did not complete in this Haya life, or suffer for what they did to others. If so, they go into limbo to await a return, while others pass on through the 9 gates. Remember, it seems long to you, yet just like when you go to Nawum, sleep, and hours pass fast in the sleep state, yet in the physical, it's still the same. This happens in death. Then at 3 a.m., you come to, in one night after death, that same Zamut day is the same as when you sleep. How time seems so fast. Once Zahut, morning comes, it is the same with death. So your etheric parents can only descend to a certain level themselves. If you have not raised up enough spiritual or level of vibration, they cannot carry you. In the ancient Mahmat, Egypt, we were always doing rituals that constantly kept you properly aligned with the note of A, in tune with the Mikhab, planet, Fatah, nature, on the note of F, and heavenly bodies above, or the cosmos, on the note of C. After being assimilated into a foreign Sakar, land, Milsan, tongue, and Akal, mind, what was natural for you has become foreign. So you Za'ut, called out, and your call was answered. All right. So that's from the message of Yanun. And I just read a little excerpt. All right, let's see what's going on with the chat. I'm just trying to post that link I said I was going to post, and then we can get into the questions. So if you haven't visited our official worldwide website yet, that's unitedsabiansworldwide.com. So check that out. A lot of information in there already. Okay, let's see who else is up. Who's come in since I last read the names. George from Florida. Nate the Great, Rahubat from Idaho, Rahubat. Solar Ray, Rahubat. Texas in the house. And who else we got? Philmon, Botswana, Rahubat. Harar, Rahubat. Note 9, Rahubat. Vanessa, Rahubat. Okay, right, let's get to the questions. First of all, have you pressed the like button yet? If you haven't, can you do so, please? Because your liking, sharing, subscribing helps us. All right. Okay, so first question. It's a bit hot here today. Like, we've been getting some sun in the UK. We're not used to it, but we're loving it. We're loving it, loving it, loving it. Yeah, we love the sun, and it's been hot for the last few days, so we're making the most of that 9 ether. Okay, first question is from Nate the Great, 28. What's the most out of this world personal experience you had that most people wouldn't believe, if you've had any? Wow. I don't really get into too much of my own personal experiences, but yeah, I've had a few. But one, I don't know what would be that people wouldn't believe. All right, there are many worlds and many beings that you can encounter, that I've encountered. We've got a call, but I'm going to finish this quickly and then take that call. But yeah, like I said, it's a lot of it's quite personal. So, but see what it is. Last point, we all exist in the same space, but on different dimensions. All right. So I'll say that. So you can visit different dimensions and experience different things, even within this space. All right. Let's take the call, and then we may build more on that. Rahubat caller, what's your name, where you're calling from, and what's your question for today, please?
Peace and love, brother. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, Rahubat, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, my name is I, and I'm calling from Washington, D.C.
Tua. And your question?
So my question, yeah, so my question is, you know, I actually have 2, possibly 3 if possible, but if all I can get in is 1, then that's fine. But my question is it possible for extraterrestrial beings or other beings that are non-human beings to impregnate and procreate with human beings?
Yes, absolutely. It is. And beings may be abducted and, as you say, probed or impregnated. There are different methods, of course, but it can be through it, like in artificial insemination, some like what people call IVF and things like that. So yes, the answer is simply yes, they can. And not, and I know you said extraterrestrials, but there are also other entities. This is why I literally just said that, you know, you can exist in the same space but different dimensions, and beings that are capable of traversing the different realms can take on human forms and can go back. It's just a matter of changing the molecular structure or changing the vibration. And that's the same with even, you know, when people see crafts and the next minute they disappear, it's because they've just changed the density. So yes, people, this is why it's so important to be of the right mindset. And you hear people will tell you, some females will tell you that in their sleep, you know, and in fact, I've seen videos where people have actually shown footage of, you know, what's going on with a person sleeping, and entities are actually involved. And this is why it's important to be on a certain vibration, so you do not vibrate or attract entities on different realms that can do that through you. But yes, the answer is it's definitely possible.
What would be the incentive for these beings to do something like that?
Okay, well, they have children on the planet. It tells you even in the, you know, the religious books that it said that, you know, children were born to these Nephilims that came here. And the incentive would be they can utilize them to do their works or control them to do what they want, or they could use them in a positive or negative way, you know. So people like, for example, even Nikola Tesla. Look out for the next alien video we're doing, because we're going to go in on, you know, showing you some of the beings on the planet that are children of extraterrestrials. And Nikola Tesla was one of those, for example, and he was able to communicate. And, you know, he always had that. He was one of the first people to like invent interstellar communication, because he was in tune and in contact with beings. So there are people on the planet that are actually related to or are children of various extraterrestrials. So to say what will be the kind of motive is because they utilize them and use them to do their bidding or their works. So again, we say, if you align yourself with the right beings, you don't even have to be their child. They can still manipulate and influence and utilize your vessel if you're vibrating or having certain thoughts or certain intentions that they can utilize for their own purpose.
No question. Is it possible that I can ask a second question?
Sure.
Even though I guess that first one was kind of two in one.
It's okay. Yeah, go ahead. Wawe. Okay.
Okay. Before I do, I just want to give a little context first and give some thanks to what you guys are doing. I just came in contact with your channel. Probably maybe it's been about 3 or 4 months now, and I'm just kind of blown away as someone who has been indulged in esoteric knowledge for some years now. You guys just seem to dump knowledge, answer all of these questions without having your hand out and expecting, anything necessarily in return. And the only word I can really think to describe that is really righteous. So I really thank you guys for what you're doing. I'm still learning about the movement here in Washington, D.C. and the DMV area, which is D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. I've, throughout my lifetime, actually met probably around 5 to 10 different women or young females who actually claim to be direct daughters of Dr. York. So I've always had a bit of interest in what this thing was really about. And just as fate would have it, I came across you guys' stuff, and I've really been checking it out as much as I can. And I'm actually bought some of his books. Just last night I got one titled I think it was like, Is God an Extraterrestrial? I think that was the title of it.
Right.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. So we want to appreciate love you just before you ask the question, and I'm glad that you took it there and mentioned the master teacher Pana Babyanun, because we are student teachers and we just relay the information that we have accumulated from being students of him over the years. And it's important to always, remember that he is the source of the information, and that we're just doing our best. And so we want to appreciate love you for your kind words. But yeah, go ahead and ask your question.
And I thought that I should give that context first, because I don't want this question to come off like I'm being like facetious or anything, or trying to be disrespectful, because I'm not. This is an honest question that I really want to know.
Sure.
If Dr. York is, the high being that is stated, then how is it that he has not been able to free himself from the situation that he's in, which I don't fully understand the situation, but I do understand that he's been in prison for a while. So I'm just curious of how he's allowed these lower beings to shackle him and not be able to release himself respectfully.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We don't mind questions, and that's not the first time we've had that question, and it's a fair question because people want to know and they ask that question. The thing with that question is that we have to remember that these beings are highly intelligent, and so even though we might look at things from a perspective like, why are they doing this or why are they doing that, they have a reason and a purpose for it, and the greater outcome will only be known at such a stage where they make it available. However, what we have learned is that it's not him that is in prison, but us, and we mean that in the, not obviously his physical body is incarcerated, but it's a ultimate test for us to see that we have learned the lesson that it's known as love, or ashuk in our language, like love and unity, because he said that love and unity is what will free him. And we still have this, you know, it's like all these years we've been taught how to come together and how to love each other and not try to constantly like prove a point, or everybody wants to win an argument. Everybody wants to, you know, say they're right. But he has managed to literally humble everyone and say, all you guys have to do is come together and live Wu-Sabat, live your culture, and love and unity. And once we do that, and it's spreading, and the more people that start to resonate on that frequency, I mean, he's definitely going to come out. And I always say to people, don't talk about it as if it's past tense. Now, when we reverse that question and say, name me one person, anybody that has ever come to this planet or that has tried to stand for righteousness, liberation. And when we even mention someone like Jesus, people say, I don't know, they don't want to deal with that. But it's like, if he's considered, everywhere you go in the world and on a daily basis, you're going to hear people use that word constantly. But when we ask the question and say, if he came to save the world, but then he got crucified according to their stories, and he wasn't able to save himself from that demise to that level, and you can name all the prophets, you know, Muhammad got poisoned, you can name, you know, most of the people that people consider to be righteous men. We can talk about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Noble Jew Ali, name them all, right? This is something they've had to endure and go through. And it's the ultimate sacrifice to show that you're willing, right? You're a willing sacrifice. We don't obviously encourage any sort of rituals or blood sacrifices as you find in the Bible and the Quran and these religious books, but it's like, for truth, I'm willing to put my life on the line. And that's a serious, you know, position to be in, even with what we're doing, because it's like, truth is truth. There's nothing more or greater and noble than to tell the truth and expose lies. And that's what we're doing. So it's a matter of, do you stand for something enough to be that convicted to the point where you're like, you know what, even though I'm wrongfully incarcerated, I will actually, because there have been times when, you know, he's been approached to like disown and denounce that what he's teaching, but he's like, no, this is his whole reason for incarnating. And so he you know, he continues to teach nothing but the truth, regardless, you know, of what the subject matter is, regardless of, you know, the skin color of, you know, people. He just tells the truth. And so yeah, I hope that's helped, if not probe further. But it's really a test for us to see if we've learned the lesson of what we call ashuk, divine love. And until we kind of like, you know, become more like those beings, that love that we're trying to, you know, emanate from these higher supreme beings, we're going to keep being in this problem. But everyone that is learning, studying, and transforming themselves is, you know, I guess, becoming more and more in terms of resonating on that vibration, on that frequency. I trust that helps.
No question, man. That was such a great and righteous answer, and I'm so glad that you didn't find offense in my honest question. It says a lot about, you know, about your demeanor, you guys' movement.
Even yourself, I mean, like, that's the thing. You can always feel a vibration and an energy from the people you interact with, and who is really being, you know, as you say, just being honest and sincere about their question. And that's one of the things you learn with people's questions. Like, you know, we've been doing this for so long, we can see who's asking a question to be a distraction or to, you know, just try and throw things off. But we know who's sincere and who's really about wanting to learn and know the truth. So please go ahead if you have any other comments or questions.
Yeah, sure, if I can, because I literally just got the package in the mail right now. So I say, hey, figure might as well ask you guys about this.
Tour.
Are you familiar with the duck flower detox? I just purchased the duck flower, the one from Jamaica, not Honduras. And this will be my first. I'm someone who practices herbalism, and I've done many cleanses and detox, but this is something I wanted to do for a while. So I'm thinking about doing it. And I said, hey, I figure I might as well just ask you your take on it, if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. In fact, in the store in the shop, we sell a lot of herbs because we know that herbs are for the healing of the nation, and it's a detox. It helps with cleansing, and we have other alternatives too. So it's something that it is good because it's natural, and we always encourage people to use natural remedies. And so, yes, we are familiar with it, but of course, we do not give any medical advice. But we do share the fact that when it comes to cleansing your body and your system, it's best to use natural herbs. And, you can get supplements because people that stop eating, say, flesh, they say they lack protein. So duck flour is good for protein. So there are different substitute of things that you can use, but normally cleansing is first, and there are many methods and many types of herbs that we do stock at Nishat that you can utilize. But yeah, herbs, natural herbs. We have one of our brothers, Lightwave, who deals with. He's also a herbalist. Yeah, we need more people to know and learn about herbs because there are many herbs that you can use in place of taking, artificial or things that have side effects and all kinds of things. So, yeah, it's a good herb.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, man. It was definitely a pleasure speaking with you. I tell you, it's been so many times in my life that I've ran into something to do with Dr. York or the Nuwabian movement in some shape or form. It's almost like unavoidable in my life. But I did just recently find out he was born in Baltimore, Maryland, which is like minutes away from DC. So that would probably explain why this is such a presence here in DC. But like I stated earlier, your channel and information has given me so much clarity. I'm still a bit, because of the allegations, it does make me a bit hesitant, but I am definitely going to continue to dive in and maybe even try to visit a local chapter,
Sure.
to talk with some people directly. But again, thank you, man. I appreciate you, and I'm gonna log off and tune back into the YouTube, which I noticed today and yesterday on your lives. I've been having a lot of trouble with it just constantly going out. So
Right.
hopefully I don't have
Yeah.
that problem anymore today.
Okay. Great. Now I do want to touch on a few things you've said. One of them being
Sure.
like the whole point of the malicious allegations were to try and deter people from getting to know about him. And of course, what they don't realize is there are higher vibrations, higher beings, your ancestors and other things also in play. So if you're one of those beings that is about, waking up in this new sun cycle, you cannot avoid it because your ancestors will guide you to the truth. You may put it away, try and avoid it, and you're not the first person that's had, to relay that type of scenario to us. So we know that, truth is truth, and if you're about truth and you're seeking truth, you will find truth. And when you're ready, the master or the teacher will appear. The other thing is, although you mentioned the Baltimore, he has parents and family that, they have a history there. But that whole situation, there's a book I was trying to look for it as you were speaking called The Guidance, which I will encourage you to get because his real place of birth is in Ghana, Tokoradi, right? And there's a lot of,
Who's the author of that book? Is he the author?
yes, he is.
Because I'm gonna try to find it. And you
Yes,
said it's called The Guidance.
that's right. Yeah, the guidance.
Okay.
And because there was a lot of mystery surrounding his birth as a child, and even on our website, last week I read from it. And if you go to the United Sabians website and go to where, on the homepage actually, in fact, where you see the Black Messiah, we post the links in the chat so you can access that. But if you go to that
Okay.
website and click on the link where it says the Black Messiah or his picture, you will see it takes you to a section where there are updates, and you can read the one. In fact, let me see if I can go to it and just give you the right
Is
information.
this? I see this book here called A Guidance from the Masters by
No,
Dr. Malachi Z. York. Is that it?
no, that's not it. That the guidance from the master are scrolls that we were going through at a particular point in time. But what I'm referring to, go to the homepage, UnitedSabiansWorldwide.com, and then you will see where it says the Black Messiah. Click to get your questions answered. And that's the thing, like, this is why I read in the beginning, like, to have a being in this day and time who is here saying, you know, you can talk and ask him questions is phenomenal. So to have that opportunity, but when you click on that, click on the picture, and then it will take you to another page where it says Q&A with Yanun, right? If you scroll down, there's a reading that says, "Unto us a Savior is born." All right? I don't know if you're following me, but if you're not,
Yeah, I just got the website up now. I
okay,
was typing it in wrong, so I had to go to the chat and click the link. So I apologize
no
about that. So
problem.
I'm on here now. I'm on the
Right.
home page, and you said from here I go where again?
Just,
Click here to get your questions answered.
that's the one, right?
Okay.
And then it comes up with a page that says Q&A with Yanun.
Okay, it's still loading. I don't know why. Okay, here we go. Okay, yep, I see that.
Right. You can read up about that, and right at the bottom when you scroll, you should see where it's got a picture with two eyes, and it says, "Unto us a Savior is born."
Yep.
Right. If you click on that link, you can read all about his birth and so forth. But in addition to that, there are other readings also there. Like you have the one that's got questioning the master teacher Yanun. One is called "Did You Know What Is God?" The immigrants, the mystery God, the religions, and the heart seat, which I recommend for everyone to read, especially females. The heart seat, which is the last one. But yeah, that will give you even more information about him and who he is and why he's here and so on and so forth. But I want to
Okay,
appreciate,
I
love
got
you,
it.
yeah, for your calling in and for your question. And yeah, anytime, call back if you have any other questions.
No question. And in closing, I just want to say, see, this is one of the main things that's attracting me to you guys. All of this free information you guys are giving. I've
Yeah.
never really seen this amount of information given for free in any of the quote unquote conscious movements.
Thank
And
you.
again, it just says a lot about, it just speaks volumes of righteousness to me. So thanks again, man, and peace and
Sorry,
love,
every
brother.
time you say something, I mean, it's fine because unless we get another call that comes in, we can keep talking. But you
Okay, yeah,
said,
for sure. I'm
yeah.
trying not to hold you up too
No,
much,
no,
but
we're
I'm
good. We're
good on
good.
my
I
end.
do have other people in the chat that have questions we will address. But you said something again, which is so important, which is we've been teaching classes worldwide in different locations for over 50 years for free, right? And you can go to different locations around the world, which you can find from our website as well. And people will say things like, but the books are not free. And we're like, yes, because the books, even though Dr. York always gave away books for free, but the books are, you have to put them together. That's people's time. That's resources, paper, printing, ink, binding. proofreading, then distribution, manufacturing. So you made a very important point that we give the information freely. And if you're not already in our Telegram group, right, because our Telegram group goes on 24/7 every day, where you can also always ask a question. You could wake up in the middle of the night with a question and go on our Telegram group and ask your question for free. And we have many student teachers, both male and female, in the Telegram group that will answer your questions. And we've been doing this since we put the Telegram group up. And there's so much information in there. When you go to that Telegram group, it's posted in the chat. You can click on the name of the group, and there's a small video that shows you how you can search for information and get any question you may have that has already been answered, because somebody else may have already asked it previously. You can get the questions by just searching for a term or for the question. So yeah, we have a lot of resources for free that you can utilize for your growth. All right. So once again, I appreciate your call and your questions, and feel free to attend any of our forums, and call anytime. We do these every Tuesday, same time, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. So yeah, just get involved with the community and you'll see that it will help you on your journey. All right. So wadu for now, and hope to speak to you again soon.
Okay, bro. Thanks again. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Ashok. Okay, so let's go back to the chat. And have you pressed the like button yet? If you haven't, it's important to do so. It helps us with the algorithm to rate and move us up in terms of people being able to find the information they need. Okay, the first question I was dealing with was my experiences, which some are very personal and private, which I won't share publicly. But yeah, I've had many experiences. And on that note, if you're serious and sincere about really wanting to know the truth, and you start to step and take this journey, you will be met with some entities that try to hold you back or deter you, or it could be family members. It could, because to be honestly, okay, we've got a call coming in, but hold that note. I'm going to talk about the journey as a Nuwapian. Rahubat, greetings caller. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Rahubat, Suken, this is Rita from California.
Hey, Rahubat, sister Rahubat Zamata.
Hi. So I had, I wanted to say your opening intro about the letter about why Dr. York reincarnated and the reasons was pretty awesome, because I have questions literally about reincarnation and how, when our loved ones pass on, do we as 9 ether beings come back into the same family group or lineage when we pass away, if we do reincarnate? Is that how that works?
Tua, you come back in the same DNA bloodline.
Okay,
It
so
may,
that
it may
could
not
be
necessarily
a different family group.
Yes, it may not necessarily be your immediate family that you're familiar with, but it's in your bloodline. And depending on, because the thing is, we have been dispersed as a people, because remember that coming from our original home, as in our ancestors and so on, and even just looking at what happened during what they called, the slave trade, which we know was kidnapping. People were dispersed to different locations. Some went to the islands, some went to the Americas, and some were already in America, some never came. So it depends on, most people, this is why it's important that we study DNA and try to learn and find out about our ancestors, because you could have a completely, entirely new family in another part of the world that you don't even know about, that is in your bloodline. So yes, you could reincarnate in that family, because they will utilize the same DNA. Because when you study chromosomes and study how things are put together, you have to match the same amount of chromosomes. So if you don't, then you get anomalies. So this is why beings that will have offspring with humanoids who have 46 chromosomes, they will also have to have 46 chromosomes, you see.
I see.
So
I
yes, it
see.
has to be through the bloodline.
Okay. And so if we happen to have like 6 ether beings within our family as well, are they coming in through the same bloodline? Does it work the same way
It
with
does
6 ether beings?
it does if you do not raise your vibration. This is the whole point about why, relating to that first question about why we find it so difficult to come together and unite. That's mainly because of the 6th ether within us, in terms of
Yeah.
the blood, in terms of, because remember, again, tying it to the slavery, there were rapes, and even like we said with the Genesis story with the Nephilims in Genesis 6 verse 4, when they mix into your blood, a lot of the behavior and the patterns that we have is not from us, it's from those genes within us. And many people have been mixed. You have beings that have a full soul, you have beings that have a half soul, and you have beings that cannot shake that devil out of them, if I could use that expression. So what Wu-Sabat does is that when you suppress the 6 ether forces and the 6 ether within you, then the 9 ether is always dominant. But if you're not aware that these things are taking place because of the fact that you're allowing the 6 ether, it could even be your own ancestors that didn't vibrate or raise themselves, and they were disagreeable or still remained under the 6 ether influences that are within your personality. And so you have to be able to suppress them or recognize them. And we have a part of that called 30 spirits, and we have another one called soul, spirit. These are all teaching you about these entities within you that you have to be able to bind. And when you bind them, then they have no effect in your life, because you hear their voices in your head telling you to do things, or external influences that are also sending you these messages to take you off, or like give you these thoughts. And if you act on them, then they kind of become prominent in your life or in your being. But if you suppress them, then after a while they kind of fade away, because they realize that they can't utilize your bodysuit, your skin suit, or utilize your vessel to do or experience the physical world, which they are still attached to because they didn't burn out those desires. Do you follow?
Yeah, absolutely. So I understand that, because I think you can't be manipulated if you're raising your vibration.
Absolutely.
And when you're talking about raising your vibration, that's through the food, eating, organic and toxins, and taking care of your body and your mind. Is that what you mean in terms of?
It's not just the food, but yeah, the food is a very prominent part of it, because people eat too much for a start. They eat every day. They eat things. So the food is part of that, but it's not just the food. It's your thoughts, your intentions. It's the clothes you wear. It's the environments that you're in. It's the music you listen to. It's the movies that you watch, because all of these are sending you messages, and you're storing those messages in your subconscious or your conscious mind, and they will then re-emerge and triggered by other situations. So it's quite a complex thing to be aware constantly of your surroundings, your environment, your thoughts, as you say, your diet, and the things you do to suppress those things, such as the spiritual practices, meditation, etc.
Well, yes. And, Dr. York talked about, I'm reading The Science of Healing right now, but I've read other books where I've heard that he had to withdraw from the world. And I understand that in the sense where, like you said, it's very complex. You almost find yourself having to withdraw from literally everything when you realize how the 6 ether
forces
systematically
Yeah.
yeah, forces created this dynamic where it's like, everything, the music, I find myself just going into the woods where, if I'm doing a retreat or something where I feel like I'm not inundated with so much.
Tour. Yeah.
But it is a challenge.
Yeah, and that's why you have to kind of like get back in tune with nature, and that's what you're doing because the vibration of nature is a healing. You're reading Science of the Healing, Science of Healing, so it talks about the green light, and you look around you
Yes.
in that wood environment. Nature is green, and it's that energy that you need. But you said something which kind of tied into what I was about to say before you called, which is yes, when you become the being a Nuwapian is not it's not easy because as you say, like you literally have two sides in terms of do you want to live on the side of truth or do you want to live on the side of untruth? And when you know the truth and you want to kind of like live it, then you're going to be around people who are on lower vibrations and the conversations are not, of a high vibration. And then you just find yourself like, it's just like when somebody becomes a Christian or a Muslim or whatever they're very passionate about, when you're having conversations with them, everything is going to be sort of like Jesus, Jesus, or, Muhammad, Muhammad, or the Quran, the Bible. And once you've succumb past that and you're dealing with Wu-Sabat, then people who are not vibrating on that frequency, you just can't be around because you want to feed your soul. You want to have, high level conversations. You want to have things that are feeding your being in a positive way. So you will find that you start to like shed people that are, pulling you away from being, the being that you're aspiring to be. So that is also normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I found myself, I mean, it becomes a very solitary kind of experience. And so, I found myself in that space. And, but I think since I was a kid, I always thought differently and questioned so many things, just even within the family dynamic as well. Which leads me to a question about identification of 9 ether beings and here on planet Earth, especially in America. I know that the 6 ether beings have done an unbelievable job in taking the information that they had and really disrupting so much in the sense that how people identify themselves, and how as humans we've been identified by colors, black, white, red, yellow. The thing is in terms of 9 ether beings, I hear I stopped using the term black like over 10 years ago, but I met an African person who mentioned, you're not African. So when it comes to true identification and how we identify and getting away from these colonizer terms, what's the proper identification? I've said melanated because I know there's melanated in every being, melanin in every being, but the safest thing I can call right now before I encountered Dr. York's older videos was calling, just saying melanated, a melanated person or whatnot.
Right. So again,
what would you say for the identification?
Again, this is why Wu-Sabat is in a class of its own because we have our own language. Because language is the problem, and you're using words and speaking in tones that are not familiar to you or that are not yours. So people will struggle.
Yeah.
Like I hear people when they're speaking, they'll be like, if you say, don't use the term God, they'll be like, the Most High, or whatever it is, or whoever it is. And you're like, that's because if you take the time to learn our language and speak Miss Batia, Wu-Sabat, in Wu-Sabat, right? That's what you will use. You would use terms like Nuwapian. That's the best way, that the description. When you say melanated, as you said, everyone and everything contains melanin to a certain amount of degree. So that wouldn't be the term to use.
Yeah.
The word black, as you
Yeah.
know, again, that's when people say black, they, in a sense of using it as a color, that doesn't even make sense, because you can be in any environment and look at the what is perceived as being the color black, and you see there are different variations or shades of black. You know, even what, you know, when you're wearing clothes, that, so black that we were referring to is not a color. It's referring to a state,
Right.
a state of mind, a state of consciousness.
Yeah.
Because the only way you identify colors is by way of light, right? Because light being put through a prism separates the different vibrations into what people call colors, but they're just different vibrations. So the combination of all colors is going to result in black. And black was the
Yes.
state that they tell you God or Allah was in before he said, let there be light. So if he was in the state of darkness, then he said, let there be light. So darkness, and there are different levels or states of darkness. And so the deeper into the darkness you get, as you were saying, like the baby in the womb of the mother is in darkness, the triple darkness, in fact, because nobody knows or sees what's going on within that darkness in her womb. And then the next level of darkness is when you come out into the planet, and then you experience what people call day and night. But night is not really the right term for it. It's actually shadow, because the planet is in a shadow state, because the planet cools off on one side so that it doesn't overheat, and it rotates. And so one side is in sun and the other side is in what we call the shadow. So that's another level of darkness when you're in the shadow. But then when you come outside of the planet, you're still in darkness, the darkness that is surrounding, you know, the stars. You see all the stars in darkness. But then there's another level of darkness beyond that where there are no stars and there's levels of darkness. So this is what we're saying, that the state of darkness is what we are as personifications from the sun, as you know, sun heat genes or beings that came from that darkness of the sun. So yes, you're right. The best term to use is Nuwapian or Sabian.
Nuwapian.
Yeah.
Okay. Or
All right.
Sabian. Okay. Beautiful. I love it. And you know, and I also have acknowledged, I see the beauty in darkness. And I've had, you know, I've met people who even saying the word darkness is kind of like a negative. And I realize there's programming involved with this and then I remind them that, you know, babies were born in the darkness. When you go to sleep, you know, you close your eyes, you're in darkness.
Exactly.
So,
but again, it was to the
there's beauty in
programming,
that.
as you said, the sixth ether, because darkness was given a connotation of evil, and, you know, everything like, you know, was just made. And that kind of ties into the construct, as you said, of racism, because that's something that didn't exist until people started calling some people white people and some people black people, and then, like you said, the different yellow people, when none of that really pertains to us. So it's all about the programming, and you have to unprogram that, because these divisions are then kind of like perpetrated continuously, so people fight against each other, or people think they're better than other people, or people that are in certain groups will look down on other people, and, you know, it just creates chaos on the planet, which Nine Ether is about avoiding and bringing back that state of harmony and peace with nature, and that ties all the way to the cosmos.
Well, yes, I agree. And my last question is, you know, I grew up hearing the phrase, I'm on cloud nine, and learning about nine ether beings and who we are and the ancestors and all of that. Where did that phrase come from?
Well, it comes,
Nine.
it's actually quite funny, because there's another phrase that people say, the sky is not the limit, because nine is the highest number. So when you're saying I'm on cloud nine, you're literally saying I'm on the highest vibration or measurement, whatever measurement you're using that to attribute to. you're in the highest, because
Yeah.
9 to the ninth power of 9 is the highest number. But again, we actually predate numbers, so we predate what you're
Yes.
calling time. So you can't really, use the 9, but it's a way that can maybe give you an indication of, like, we're limitless, an indication of how far
Yeah.
back we go. Because when you say 9 to the ninth power of 9, or people will say infinity, they're basically saying that, it's countless, so you can't really count it, because what you're calling
Yeah.
time is only based around what you consider to be time, the planet rotating around the sun. So when you break out
Yeah.
of that time belt, you're no longer governed by time in that respect. And so even in the so-called religious books, they tell you, like in Second Peter's, that to the Lord 1 day is like 1,000 years. So they're using a different time frame. So in the Bible, they tell you that people live to 900 years old and 700 years old, etc., etc. And you're thinking, well, how is that possible? Well,
Yeah.
you're breaking the time belt that you're accustomed to, which only gives you 365 days in a year, which also fluctuates, because they add leap years and time savings and all this kind of thing, to try and adjust to, keep you off time, natural time. You see, so
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of which, do you all have 13-month calendars?
oh, we no,
Or
we have our own calendar. Just want to see if we've got it.
okay,
Yeah. So when you have a culture, I think our calendar has 9 months. Yeah.
9 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when you have a culture, like you can look at other people that have cultures, like maybe the Sikhs, the Chinese, the Hindus. They all have separate calendars. Even the Mayans, they had their own calendar, and we have our own culture. So we have everything that is conducive for us: our own language, our own calendar, our own dances, our own foods, our own clothes. Because we are a rich people in culture. So yeah, it's been posted in the Telegram group already, because the calendar is another thing that
Okay.
comes up a lot. So if you search in the Telegram group, you should see the calendar.
Okay, I'll do that. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm definitely interested in your Project 100. I
Great.
listened to one of your videos about that, and I sent you a message
Yeah, I'm aware.
through WhatsApp.
Right. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I mean, simply just for those who are asking, it's a group of people coming together to do
Yeah.
things and build and have things that are conducive for us to basically be able to express our culture and live, as you say, come away from the six ether matrix. And yeah, just basically, it just makes sense when you really think about a lot of what we do in terms of the unification or lack of it. It's because if you think about it from an economic point of view, if you have, say, 10 people and they all live separately, that's 10 different rents or mortgages or bills, 10 different telephones, 10 different fridges, 10 different, but you can have a way where you can actually live in a community and share, and it will be a lesser burden. So these are the things that
Yeah.
a lot of our our elders have taught us, that it's easier when you come together. And that's why Dr. York keeps emphasizing to us, don't fall for the tricks, the games, but like you say, you have to overcome it within your DNA, within your personalities
Yeah.
first, before you can then kind of like point fingers at other people. Because like he says, when you point a finger at someone, 3 are pointing back at you. So you've got to fix
Yeah.
yourself first, and learn and put into practice, live Wu-Sabat. You hear people say in religion, be in the world but not of it, where we say
Yes.
the other way around. Yeah, be of it and not in it, meaning that if you're
Yes.
a Nuwapian, then you should be of it, live it, show it, express it, and practice what you preach, in other words. And I know it's work in progress because we're all learning and we're all like, if you're serious anyway, but yeah, you can't just talk it, you have to actually live it and it will work through you. Yeah, so that's what we mean
Yes.
by Cloud 9. There's a song actually that an artist sang called Cloud 9. That's a very good song to listen to as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
I trust that helps. And thank you for your
Yes,
time.
it does. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I love you, and thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for all of the information.
Likewise, and it's from the master teacher Partner Babyanun, who we want home, ASAP.
Yes.
So it's going to be his birthday
Yeah.
in 2 days, actually, on the 26th of June. And our
Oh,
new
yeah.
year, that's our new year as well. So yeah, we want to always, remember him and keep the main thing. So I'm glad that you're with us and you're on that journey, and we'll work together to
Yes.
make things happen for us.
You've made so much, all of this information, even looking at Dr. York's older videos, it's made so much sense in my life. And I feel like I remember sitting in history class in high school and just not connecting with it. And looking at all of the pictures and wondering, just feeling like it was so disconnected and so not reflective of what I have imagined. So what you all have provided with and what Dr. York has provided with all of this information really connects the whole madness of this world so well, and I really appreciate and I'm very grateful to have encountered it, and because it made sense to me immediately. So I really am grateful for that.
Okay, so again, the word is his story. So someone else
Story,
is
yes,
giving
his
you a
story.
story of
Yeah.
what his accounts are, and that's why it doesn't resonate.
Yeah.
Because again, and when we say we and us, although we are talking about the 9 ether beings first, everyone else is welcome as well. And it's truth is truth.
Yeah.
Truth resonates with anyone, and we have many people from all walks of life. So when we're saying that, it's
Yeah.
because when you're connecting, like you have an inner being, your inner being knows you more than any being, and it's the truth, and it talks to you, and you can feel it. That's why
Yeah.
even in the religious books, they do tell you when the truth comes, all false things shall perish, and truth has no association or allegiance to anything but truth. So the term the master coined was truth is truth. And anyone who's telling the truth,
Yeah.
regardless of the subject matter, we will accept it because truth is truth. And that's it.
Yes.
People don't realize that all we care about is it the truth? And if it's the truth,
Yeah.
it's gonna match up with how you feel, because nobody really wants to be misled. Nobody really wants to be deceived. Nobody really wants the information to be distorted. People want to know the truth, and others have done a great job of hiding it or distorting it to just have you under control by them having some type of ulterior motive to utilize your energies for their purpose. So yeah, truth is truth, and we got to spread it.
Yes, I
All right.
agree. Well, thank you again. I don't want to take your time, but
No
yeah,
problem.
I'll keep reading and learning. And again, thank you.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
You too.
Wadu. English, you see. Have a great day. How can I give you a day to have? You can't have a great day. But that's just to show you how the tones and vibrations and frequencies can throw you off, even when you mean well. Okay. Reminding you to press that like button if you haven't done so already, and share the link so other people can also benefit. Right, let's get back to where we were. In fact, I covered what I was going to say before the call came in. So I'm going to move on to the next question. Can I know? Okay, let's go back. can I know why I am able to see the future when I watch more of your videos? Is it related to my blood RH negative? The future, what people call the future and the past, exist in the same place, right? So, and you can travel back and forth and experience things. But it's funny that you say that, because if you look at the world today, look at what's going on around the world. You know, if you go back and watch our videos, we pretty much predicted. If you watch, I think we did a video on Antichrist. I can't remember what the exact title of it is, but if we find it, we'll post it in the chat. But you see the unrest in the world, and we've told people this year, going from the time to the end of 2030, that we're going to see a lot of things, major changes, as we say, because this is that time where a lot of things will be revealed. Many things are being revealed. So if you're in tune and you're putting Wu-Sabat into practice, you will be able to see things, because your third eye will be open, in the sense that when you're, let's say for example, you're watching televisions, or tell lies visually, you're able to now see through it. You're awake, you can just see like the programming. So even when I'm saying those words, tell lies visually, many people, they say they're watching the TV and looking at it, as opposed to looking into it and deciphering the programming, so that they have a psychic self-defense, which, you know, it won't penetrate, and you'll be able to see through a lot of the distortions that you know, are being given, and also be in tune, and you will feel certain things. You'll just know, like, that doesn't make sense, that doesn't feel right, and you're in tune with nature. So yes, the more you study, the more aware you are, the more your being is growing, the more you'll be able to see through the matrix. Yeah. Okay, that was from Nate the Great. Vanessa, for starters, so how should we say hello or greet each other in passing if good morning is not correct? That's why we have our own language and our own tones and vibrations and frequencies, because the way you greet somebody, you're exchanging energy with them. So giving them a low vibrational greeting kind of sets the tone for the day. So we say Rahubat, you know, and we have other words, but Rahubat is greeting. So that's what you should say if you want to say good morning, as you said, or yeah, that's what you basically say. We don't say hello or greet each other in passing. We say Rahubat. We can say Hatap. Hatap is bliss. Or you hear people use a rendition and the lower vibration of that, they say Hotep or Hatap. You know, that's what we say. All right. So yeah, Rahubat. That's why it's important to learn our language. You see it all the time. We always say Rahubat. Yeah. Next question. Vanessa again. So after the trickery, where and how does one begin the chosen path in the correct way? What language were we supposed to speak? The language is Misbatea, known by many names throughout different cultures. One of them being Nuwapik, Napata, Napatian, Sabaik. Okay, but we know it as Misbatea. That's the language, the correct one. And your path should be in Wu-Sabat and studying the Pataruk, which is the way. That's the way, because you said what is the correct way. Pataruk is the way. Okay, let's move on. The profound empathy. Oh, sorry, I haven't said Rahubat to some of these new people. Yeah, Mashon Rahubat, Rita Rahubat, T-Love Rahubat. The profound empathy. Greetings, brother. What's the difference between Prince Hall Masonry and your own Masonic order? Okay, the difference is that Prince Hall Masonry, get their charters from the Euro Masonry, which is back to front, because the charters that, or what you're calling Masonry, originated in ancient Egypt, right? And the European recognized Nimrod as the first Mason, and Nimrod's father was Cush. So this ties back into Egypt, but we say the original Egyptian Masonic order. And our order is different because you have, you know, the order in terms of people belong to many orders, but there's the order of chaos, which is kind of like contradictory to the word order, because order shouldn't have any chaos, right? So all of the, if you know about Masonry properly, you get your charter. You don't get the grand lodges, especially of England and so forth. They issue the charters, but most of the European Masonic orders, they got their teachings by going into ancient Egypt and being initiated and being given 3 degrees, right, which become your EA, FC, and MM, right? And the rest of them are honorary degrees, which they go up to like 33 and above, right? But of course, if you want to know more about the brotherhood, then you have to, you know, come close and go into the website, go into where you see, again, it's right on the menu. You will be able to see where it says orders and associations, right? If you go to that, you see there are many different orders, so, and associations. So you have the ancient Egyptian order, the Sibs, and as what you're asking about, the original Egyptian Masonic order. And you can read more or find out more information, all right? But yeah, so it's like you can't be going back to front. You have to go to the original to learn and know the secrets that were not shared with others. Mashon, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Mashon Dixon. Can trees feel pain when you break a branch or rip off a leaf? They can't feel pain in the same way that, like, you know, we do, because we have physical bodies and emotions in the way that they don't. But of course, it does have an effect because of, you know, vibrationally, they do have spirit, so they do feel and they are alive. But the thing about pain, again, pain is something that is kind of subjective, because some people can endure much more than others, and there's kind of like a threshold of what someone might feel pain and others won't feel the same pain. That's down to the emotion as well. So trees are definitely alive and they do communicate and have spirit, and energetically it does affect them. So yes. Gregory Rankins, what do you know about the GATE program? That's I think I need more information when you say the GATE program. From who? And the thing is that we say all the time, we like to focus and not be distracted by, you know, other people's terms or whatever they're doing or saying, and we don't get distracted unless it relates to Wu-Sabat in some way. I don't know if that's like an acronym. I don't know if you're talking about gifted, talented education, gifted and talented education, if that's what you're talking about. But give me more information. Where's that from? And if you're talking about that, that relates to measuring of intelligence or IQ, and that's again quite flawed, because it's like when you start to look at it, the whole thing about intelligence, the word actually comes from intel, in the genes or the genetics, intelligent or genes, right? And if someone creates a system that they measure intelligence based on, it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you subscribe to what they call to be intelligent or smart, that's what it is. Because you can go to higher education and higher learning and don't learn things that are really important for you. So you can go to a university and don't learn anything about the word universe, university. So you're meant to really be learning about the universe. And you get 1 degree, but you say, what's completeness? And they will tell you 360 degrees. So if you only get 1 degree, you still got 359 degrees that you don't have. You might get a first, second, and third degree, which relates to what I said about the 3 degrees that Europeans learned from ancient Egypt, and they became EA, FC, and MM. And then the whole society and everything was built around 3, if you notice. So it's like people, places, and things. ABC, 1, 2, 3, morning, afternoon, evening. God, the devil, and humanity. Everything is based around this 3-dimensional world. So you're trapped in a 3D mindset, even though we already know that the number 9 is the highest, as we've already explained. So to get to 9 quickly, the arithmetic or the function of arithmetic that you would do to get to 9 is 3 times 3. So I said before, there's triple darkness, or 3 levels that will give you that higher information. So you have 9 dimensions, but you're trapped in the 3rd dimension. And in order for you to raise your mind and your vibration, you have to start looking at, okay, what are these 9 levels or 9 dimensions or 9 realms, and tap into that. So I'm saying that to say that even when you're saying academia or academics, it's a system based on who says who's intelligent, rather than intel in the genetics or the genes, which will give you access to 9 mind, 9 reasoning, 9 levels, which, you know, if you're stuck in people, places, and things, then you're only kind of concerned with those things. Like I said, you're going to have breakfast, then lunch, then supper. And that becomes a routine and a cycle that you're stuck in. And everything becomes very mundane. But if you start to challenge yourself and say, okay, what other levels or realms are they? Then you get to the 4th one, for example, which is the next one after the 3, which is the mind. And the mind is a realm that you may think your mind is in your head, but it's not. It's in a different realm of its own, which is known as the mental reservoir. And we all tap into that. And when you tap into that, depending on your intelligence, your vibration, you're going to access more what we refer to as outformation. And when we speak like this, people will be like, you're making words up. But if you look at the English language and look at how words are put together, excuse me, you have compound words or words put together or anagrams and things like that. So information. So you're taking the word in and adding the word formation or form. So if you can take in and add to form, you can take out and add to form. So we say out formation coming from outside you or outside the planet or from other dimensions that you're pulling out formation from, which becomes information when it comes into your hard drive in your space where you have your own memory, like your subconscious memory and your conscious memory and your superconscious memory. So you have to learn about your being and what it is capable of to know that you can start to access higher dimensions. In fact, we did a video called 9D, which from 3D to 9D, which explains how you tap into the higher dimensions by tuning in and vibrating, you know, because you hear in science, they will teach you things like 2 physical things cannot be in the same space, for example, cannot occupy the same space. Well, that's not actually true, because they can if they're on different densities or different vibrations or different realms. So we can all be in the same space, but mentally people are vibrating on different realms and actually able to tap and pull out information which other people can't, and experience things that others can't. All right, so let's keep going with the questions. So I don't know if that related to the gate program, but that's what I know, unless you can elaborate and give us more information. T-Love, I have been wanting to know the question since I've been on my journey. Why are we here, and what is our purpose on earth as human beings? Okay, that will depend on the person. Different people are here for different purposes, because you've had, on average, 9,000 incarnations. So you've been on this journey many, many times. And so depending on what your purpose is, we have a collective purpose and we have an individual purpose. But depending on what you're lacking in terms of, Earth is like a school where you're coming to graduate and learning to vibrate on higher dimensions and higher realms, and kind of like burn out the desires of this physical world, because the physical world is pulling an attraction and expansion. And once you've overcome certain things, then you don't need to be here anymore. So you move on to the higher realms to experience and learn in that level. So it's kind of like going through school, you know, like when you're in the nursery, you learn certain level of information, then you grow up a little bit, and then you go to the primary school, then secondary school, and then you might go on into higher education and so forth. But you graduate from one to the next. And as a being, right, your real being, when you're dealing with beings that have souls, they have the ability or the potential to rise and go all the way to the higher dimensions. And when you get to a point where you've mastered the physical world, as in the tangible world, you go into what people will consider the unseen world, or the untangible world, which composes of, like I said, higher vibrations. And you can become a pure energy being, or an ethereal being, or etheric being, pure, fully, so that you can, have the ability to personify, slow down your vibration. Because as you graduate into more of an energy being, you realize that the lower vibrations are not as fast, not as in tune, not as in, the capabilities and things that you can do. This is why extraterrestrials that are vibrating on higher densities, they come here and they have higher intelligence, and they're able to use more of their brain, for example. All right, so to answer your question again, your purpose here, as I said, collectively, is for us to learn the highest lesson, which is known as love, which the word love, we know, has been desecrated, because there's always the, as I was saying, like the distortion of anything that will give you what they say, evil is fair seeming. Because even though love, the true nature of love, as in a shuk or divine love, unconditional love, means that it's not about the lustful, the physical love of, male and female, or the things you like, material things. So what we're saying is that that ashuk we all got to learn, and that will bring us together naturally, because you united when you're vibrating on the same resonance or frequency. Okay. Greetings. Okay, sorry, I missed a question. So your purpose, if you want to really know, is to graduate into Wu-Sabat, study Wu-Sabat, which will take you to higher level of information, or the ability to tap into outformation that's going to help you grow as a being in all ways, spiritually, mentally, physically, etc., etc. All right, and to come together and free Dr. York. who is the bringer of this information. I think it's Admiralish. What EDs, I think you mean ETs, are influencing our music currently? I used to hear Dr. York mention certain rock stars under Venusian influence. There are different types of extraterrestrials that are influencing us, but the main ones recently are the beings from Andromeda, androgynous beings. And you look at the influence on the planet, that's the ones that are currently influenced. But other ETs also utilize music, because music is just vibrations and frequencies. So when you listen to a lot of the music that is electronic, it's not as conducive to your being as natural sounds or natural nature sounds. So but yeah, those are the beings that have been most influential in recent times. Yes, or I don't get that. I don't think that's a question. Next question. This is from Life is a Blessing. Greetings all. How do we deal with disagreeable parents? For example, parents who are jealous of their children. You deal with them in the same way you deal with any other disagreeable people or beings. You just avoid them, and if you have to, love them from afar. Focus on your being, growing your being, and you get to a level of vibration that they can't really affect you. Put into practice all the tools you have, the chanting, the meditation, etc., etc., that gives you the protection by way of the Panataru. And yeah, it's not just disagreeable parents, because you can have disagreeable friends, disagreeable people that you meet, and always be on your guard, right? So always be on your guard and have that defense. And the best way to deal with disagreeableness is to diffuse it. And you diffuse it by not feeding the forces of that disagreeable energy. You ever seen a person that's skillful enough to, like, someone's about to say, for example, jump off a building, and they're called negotiators, and they come and they're able to talk them off the ledge, and that's a high skill to be able to have. So in the same way, if you're able to use your voice and tones and vibrations and intentions, and you're able to diffuse any situation with again ashok, love. Okay, Ralph James, Rahubat, hoping saying it right. Yeah, you're saying it right. The double A though, we stretch the A, Rahubat. Are there any scrolls or teachings of Thoth or the Houthi by Dr. Malachi Z. York? Does Wu-Sabat? Yes, of course. When you hear and you say Hermetic teachings, that's because he's one of the titles that it was given to him by the Greeks is Hermes and Thoth as well. But that's the being known as Tahuti. We've also done a video on this, right? And yes, in terms of the scrolls, we have this one, for example. This is by him, by Tahuti. It's called The Sacred Wisdom of the Grand Hierophant Tahuti, known as Thoth, right? And it is inscribed by the Imperial Grand Potentate, Reverend Dr. Malachi Z. York, all right? Amun Nebu Re Akta, yeah? So, yeah, you have that. You also got Zehutimus. Zedi was Zehutimus, which is a Partarak, and that's also talking about Zehuti. And you've also, or Thoth, or Tahuti, you've also got Zehuti's vision, which is an actual fact. So I've given you 3, there are others. But yeah, every subject you can think of, the master teacher has, or the master scribe has inscribed already a tablet, and he is the reincarnation of that being, and that being is the one with the most knowledge and he wrote on many things when you read the Sacred Wisdom of Tahuti. All right, let's keep going. Realm Comforts, Rahubat. Remember to share our videos, reach other people. Just sharing a video, you don't know whose life you're saving, because as you hear from the comments and from people who have put Wu-Sabat to the test, it works. And there are different levels or higher levels which we get into with one-to-ones in terms of manifestations and how you can actually start to utilize the information to manifest things in your life. Okay. What happened to the Ogdowads of Egypt? This is from Brusca Noise. What happened to the Ogdowads of Egypt? Did they die out? Did they evolve? Did they leave? Or do they still reside on Earth? They're just like us. They're just beings that crossed over and passed on and had offspring, and the offspring are still walking the planet today. We are from those beings. So, and again, when you said did they die, remember that energy cannot be destroyed. So they just residing on higher vibrations or realms. So when you say do they still reside on Earth, see, as I keep expressing, there are different Earths in the same space on different dimensions or vibrations or realms. Yeah, so very possible they're on Earth, but in a different dimension Earth, if you follow me. All right. Just like all of us, when we cross over or translate or transmute, these are the best terms to use, because people say when we die, we don't die. The word is, transmuting, crossing over, because you're changing from one state to another state or going into a different density or realm, vibration, where you still exist, but in a different form, and experience that reality or existence as you're experiencing this one on this density in a lower vibration. Okay. So yeah, the official Telegram group has been posted in the chat. So if you haven't joined that, join that now. It's only a click, it's free. And you can continue asking and learning, asking questions and learning. All are welcome. Everyone's welcome. Everyone has the same opportunity to learn the truth, and everyone has the opportunity to accept it or not accept it, put it into practice or not. It's all entirely up to you. We don't really solicit or recruit, or we're not trying to like people do in religion, like convert you. It's literally whether or not you want to, and whether it resonates with you. If you want change, if you want truth, it's up to you, and you will learn and experience it yourself. Okay, next question. Nate the Great again. If a person is able to enter the quantum field, would that give them the best idea, sense of who they are as an energetic being, the good and the bad? Again, good and bad is subjective to what you're doing and why you're doing it and where you are. And you're already in the quantum field. As I said, you're a multi-dimensional being. When you start to get into quantum, you're going from, as we say, like being in a universe to other verses, or dual verse, to triverses, to multiverses, to being a part of all, or omniverse. We're all a part of the all. But as you shed the lower vibrations, you move up and closer to be one or in union with that energy, right? Where we say you're part of the all. You see the all expanding. So yes, the higher vibration you have, even mentally, as I mentioned previously, you're able to then access higher vibrations or best ideas. As you said, this is what I was saying about tapping into the mental reservoir. You can pull ideas or receive information that you can then manifest in this lower dimension. So anything you think of, you can either manifest it or bring it to fruition in this physical world. And you can bring both agreeable and disagreeable things depending on what you're tapping into. So it's important to learn to be in tune with the right beings that are giving you the right messages. Brusca Noise, were the Egyptians participating in 6 mind activities like worshipping Amun-Ra, similarly how the Christians now worship Jesus? It depends on what you're referring to as Egyptians, all right? But we're going to take a call that's come through live, and then we'll return to that question.
Yeah, he said he's got bad signal, so he sent a voice note.
Okay, like let's hear the voice note. I think the voice note is bad too. I can hardly hear it. Yeah, ask him to send a voicemail because we couldn't hear that at all. Right, so yeah, I was saying when we say the word Egyptians, it's a very broad term because Egypt, like any other place, has, you know, what people call history. And when people say the Egyptians, it depends on what time period, because many other cultures came and influenced what people call in Egypt. This is why you have the different dynasties and going pre-dynastic, meaning before the dynasties, and going back to, you know, the beginning of the beings that first settled there. So when you say 6 mind, the 6 mind came in with 6 ether beings and 6 ether people coming in, such as what we call the Hyksos or the Hyksos dynasty, who came in and then they mixed, and many things that other foreigners came in and mixed in with the original inhabitants and started to practice were not originally from there. So you had, like, you know, like the Phoenicians and certain beings, the Hyksos dynasty, and people that are from, you know, Europe and from other places that came into what you're calling Egypt. And then those perversions that they brought along, their worship and their sacrificing and things that they started to do, certain Egyptians. And that's the thing, people say Egyptians, but it depends on who you're referring to as Egyptians and what period. So, you know, this is why, okay, we got a call coming in, so let's pause and take the call. Greetings, Rahubat. Caller, what's your name, where are you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Hello?
Greetings, Rahubat. How you doing?
Hey, what's good, man? This T-Pain from Houston, Texas.
Greetings, Rahubat. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, my brother, man. Look, I just started watching it, you know. I really don't know much, so that's why I'm really in tune to what y'all doing, you know. But man, I just had a question, bro. So
yeah, go ahead.
It seemed like, you know, black people, we've been on top of the world for so long, see, like millions of years, but then the white boy come and now he on top. I just want to know, like, what happened to where we used to be at the top of the, you know, the top of the world. Now we damn near struggling. We at the bottom of the totem pole. So
yeah,
that's my question. What happened to where we are, where we at today?
All right. Yeah, so it's because of the cycles and the experiments that were being run by these ancient beings, because what happened is that we have many cycles, and the main cycles that people are familiar with are what we call the sun cycle and the moon cycle. It's a bit like today where we have summer and we have winter. If you just look at that as a basic example, when you're in an environment or a situation that is most conducive for you, you just perform better. So what I'm saying is that, you know, in the winter, a lot of melaninated people, they hibernate. They don't like the cold. They don't, you know, they don't perform or are as vibrant as when the summer comes. When the summer's out, everyone is happy, more jovial. They want to have picnics and so on and so forth, and they just feel good and feel better because the sun interacts with their melanin in a way that it wouldn't for those who lack melanin or that prefer to be in a more cooler climate, right? Now, when we're talking about on a bigger scale, we're talking about 6,000 years. So the 6,000 year sun cycle, 6,000 year moon cycle, 6,000 year sun cycle, another 6,000 year moon cycle, and then it starts all over again. The last 6,000 years we've been in a moon cycle, and that moon cycle ended in the year 2000. So during the last 6,000 years, even though as 9 ether beings, 9 will always dominate 6, but a spell was actually casted because during that time when you're at your weakest, in terms of you're not as vibrant, you're not, like I said, using the winter summer example, that spell was casted to the point where you forgot who you were. It's called the spell of sleep, the spell of amnesia, where you forgot who and what you were, and then through methods such as slavery, etc., you know, you were stripped off of everything, so you didn't remember or know who you are. And that's why in the Bible that's picked up as you became an inner sight, and that means a forgetful being. And so what's happened is that during that 6,000 moon cycle, this experiment that I mentioned was done, which was to see if the Adamites that were created during that 6,000 year moon cycle were able to be controlled or to be taught and be able to reform their nature. And what's happened is that at the end of that 6,000 years, which ended in the year 2000 AD, the elders that carried out the experiment were like, no, they're not able to be reformed. This gets picked up in many religious stories, especially, for example, the Nation of Islam, who said the devil cannot be reformed, right? And that's why there was a contingency in terms of managing the project to say, okay, let's see if this can work. If it doesn't work, here's a fail-safe mechanism to solve the problem. And that fail-safe mechanism was to program their DNA or the telomeres at the end of their chromosomes to basically start to wipe them out in terms of them dying out. And so after watching for the 6,000 years, the watchers or the elders, they just saw the havoc and the mistreatment of other races and people, the wars, you know, the chaos, and even till today, as you can see, still going on. So a decision was made by the Galactic Federation or Council to remove them in this 6,000 year moon cycle for them to basically not continue with the chaos and how they've ruled the world based on, like we say, all these things like religion, wars, racism, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, there were many reasons for it. But again, it sounds like a very long time to us when you're saying 6,000 years. But as it says in the scriptures relating to these extraterrestrials, that 1,000 years is like a day, or a day is like 1,000 years to them. So this experiment was really to them like 6 days. And that's why in the Bible it says God created, you know, it tells you about how he created Adam and gave them dominion over the planet. And he said, thou shalt not kill. And he did that for 6 days. And then at the 7th day, he rested. And this is all symbolically, because when you start to look at the cycle that's come back around again, those rules, they have broken, and like they've made laws that they don't even follow. Because if you read Exodus 20, for example, it says, thou shalt not kill, right? But yet, you know, you have people in positions wearing mental uniforms that can sentence someone to be unalived. Or even now you're hearing things like you can be assisted to be unalived. But yet, who gives you the authority to do that? You see, so there's a lot of distortion and hypocrisy really in terms of when you start to look at the commandments and whether or not people follow them or not. And yeah, but I hope that's helped. But if it hasn't, but yeah, we're actually living in a time where it's being resolved, and this is referred to as the great and dreadful day of the Lord, the time when truth comes and all false things will perish. And it's escalating to that point, so that it's kind of like the things you're seeing are helping to bring about that change that people are waiting for, to say a Messiah is going to come, someone's going to come to save you when things have got so bad in the world that, you know, change needs to take place. And different messiahs have come, and the one that's here is known as Parnabab Yanun, and he's come with that healing in his wings, as is mentioned in Malachi chapter 4 verse 2. That's the sun of righteousness, because the sun cycle is playing a major part in bringing about this change. Nature is playing a part, and the planet is playing a part. The galactical bodies are all playing a part to align. But one would have to study, you know, as an ontologist, as a scientist, as a, you know, someone who looks into the cycles of time and creation and so forth, to really fully understand what is taking place.
All right, and I had another question. Is this the Matrix? Is this real?
Yes, real is real to you, because when we say the Matrix, there are different levels, as I mentioned previously, in different realms or different densities of vibrations and existences, right? So, or existence. When you say, is it real? Right, to you, if you pinch yourself, you feel it and you know to yourself that you are real. You can't really confirm anybody else but yourself. And in your, say for example, in your dreams, have you ever pinched yourself in your dream? So to know you're real is to feel and have that awareness of yourself. The only other being that can confirm another being is the female, or we call them the sacred feminine, because she actually grows a being and shares her reality with the being that she grows in her womb, right? So she's aware there's another being in her as that being is developing. So that's why she's the goddess and the one that creates the male and the female. And she has a perfect matrix, because she, you know, her chromosomes, she has an XX, which has 5 times, the X chromosome has 5 times more genetic material than the Y. And the Y for male is a defective X with one of the stems being removed. So yeah, the male is not able to have that confirmation of experience of another being, but the female is. So yes, if nothing else is real to you, then you are real to yourself. But the thing about that is, if you're real, then that confirms where you came from, which would be your parents. So your parents have to be real. That's your mother and your father. And if they're real, they can confirm that with their parents. This is why when the question comes up, who created you? The distortions of religion will tell you that there was an entity that created you from taking mud or dust of the ground to form a man, and then taking the rib to form a woman, which doesn't hold up scientifically as an intelligent being. And also that distortion is that that was the first life, but yet the soil has life, bacteria and different forms of life. So when you say to people who created you and they say God or Allah or some Yahweh or some other term, you're like, you cannot confirm that. There's no way you can prove that tone or that title that you're using exists. but you can confirm that your parents exist and you came from your mother. So which one is more logical and sound, and which one makes more sense? And on confirmed being that you've never met, don't know, if you start to ask, what do they look like? What form do they take? Because to create you, they need to have the same chromosomes as you. You see, so with intelligence, you can completely, reason it out to the point where you know that you're real to yourself, if nothing else to anyone else, but then your parents are real, and it goes on all the way. So we always say your parents created you, and then someone will say, well, who created them? And you'll be like, their parents, and they're like, who created them? And it's their parents. And this can go on for a very, very long time, you see, because we can confirm that we exist. And then they fine tunes and they take DNA and they take samples, and they realize that, the first people on the planet are those Africans known as the Homo naledi or the Homo habilis. And then everyone else comes from those genes. And then hybrids are created, much like today. You will have an original banana or whatever fruit, and then you can create using, different DNA and chromosomes, etc., to form an artificial one that, if you didn't know what an original banana looked like, you look at two bananas and just think they're both bananas, but one is a hybrid and one is an original. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, or can I take other questions?
Oh, all right. Look, I got one more question, then I'm gonna let you go.
Tua,
So,
go ahead.
I've had something called sleep paralysis before, and that's basically when I'm stuck in REM stage and my body's paralyzed. I've seen like shadows and stuff like that. I felt heaviness on my chest. Can you explain what's going on?
I mean, each person has different experiences, but the word in itself, paralysis, it's just like you are, for that moment, paralyzed. And remember we said you have different beings within one, or in the same space but on different dimensions. So when you go to what people call sleep, you're at rest. This is a time when your physical body is actually like at rest, and then the spiritual you and your other counterparts, they can travel into different dimensions. And sometimes the differences between when you've left and your physical body wakes up just before you completely leave, that's when you're trapped, because your physical body doesn't contain that spirit that is within you that animates you. And it's not completely gone, so you're still kind of like, it's like you're leaving out the door, but then you wake up and then you're paralyzed physically. But then if you are afraid, it takes a while for your adrenaline to calm down and for your two beings to re-merge as one, where you can then move your limbs and so forth. So some people get frightened by that experience and they just paralyzed and can't move. But if you train yourself and you're able to get over that fear, you can leave your body and be aware of it and know that, you've just taken your skin suit off and you can travel. And different people experience different levels of it. Some people can only move within, say, their immediate surroundings in their house or whatever. Others can go out, go and fly around, and others can even go further. So yes, that's what's happening, where you're temporarily not merged with your being and the physical skin suit. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, man. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
Always. Appreciate, love you too. All right, let's get back to the question.
Have a good day.
You too. Wadu. We covered that. All right, let's see. Cover that. I think we're on Brusca again. I can't seem to find any videos of the master teacher talking about the Patarak, are there any available? Tawat. When you say are there any available, do you mean are there any Pataraks or any videos of the master talking about them? The Pataraks are read, and within the Pataraks, the master talks about them. So I'm going to stop and take another call and we can come back to that. All right. Greetings, caller. Rahubat, as we say. How are you? Where are you? What's your name and what's your question, please?
Yeah, this is Simon
Rahubat, Simon.
from London.
Greetings.
How you doing? Rahul Bat, man.
Rahubat.
Yeah, I've got 2 questions. First question, how is Asylum? I haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah, it's funny. I spoke to him today. He's good. He's good.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
Good, brilliant. And the other question was about seahorse, because a previous caller was talking about, obviously, the female. It's like the male seahorse can give birth. Is there any information on that? Could Mr. Ken give any information on that?
The male seahorse, did you say?
Yeah, the male seahorse, because it gives birth, doesn't it? It's the only male that can give birth, isn't it?
Do you know what? I don't have any information on that myself personally, so I'm going to have to do some research and come back to you on that. Yeah. Because I haven't seen anything. Is that from any of our scrolls? Do you have any references for that, or is that just like a question you have?
Yeah, I haven't Googled it, but I've seen it on nature programs and stuff. And I was speaking to someone about it a couple of days ago, and they were saying because they kind of was looking into seahorses, and apparently that's the only male creature that can actually give birth on the planet, other than females.
Okay, I mean, I don't want to speculate, but what I can say, just using reasoning, is that if you read our doctrine, you start to find that there are many hybrids and many creatures that were created from, you know what I mean, like mixing of, so
I believe that, but I don't know what I believe that the seahorse is quite unique. Though. That's what I believe. I think I'm sure there's information. I haven't Googled it. It's just that stuff I've spoke about with people from over the years anyway. But I've never actually Googled it. I should have Googled it before I phoned you. Actually,
no, it's fine. It's just what I'm saying is that when you look at a male and you look at a female, I can hear some background echo, and I think you may have to turn down your whatever else comes through. So what I'm saying is that even when you look at like what we call a female has both genitals, and this is why she was able to procreate and create males and females, because like people refer to a being that has both sexual organs as hermaphrodite or hermaphrodite. That's a being that's morphing into a her and a being that's morphing into a he. And so if you study that, it's like at 6 weeks we're neutral gender, meaning that we haven't developed into being, having female genitals or a male genitals. So I'll have to look more into that, but I can't remember coming across anything in our scrolls that talks about the male. So I'm saying it could be some anomaly in terms of a hybrid or something, but I'm just reasoning it out at the moment. But I will look more into it and ask the question and see if we can get anything from the master teacher.
That would be good if I can, like, if there is any information, if master teacher knows anything, that would be good. But I've been into the shop. I've met Osara and I've bought scrolls months back. And your energy is just unbelievable up there, and keep doing what you guys are doing, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, no, man. Appreciate love you guys, man.
Appreciate love you too. All glory goes to Partner Babyanun, the master teacher.
Yes, without a doubt, man.
Tua. Tawat. Wu-Wadu.
All right, then.
Tua. Wadu.
Ashok, man.
Ashok. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I can look into that. That's the thing with us, Wu-Sabat. That's why we say ask us anything. Not because we claim or think we know everything, Even though we know someone who does know everything, how do we know? Because every question we put to him, we get an answer for. But we've got another caller, so yeah, let's go to the call. Rahubat Zamal or Zamat.
This is greetings from Africa, South Africa.
Rahubat,
can you hear me?
Tua, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, cool.
What's your name and what's your question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm from South Africa. My name is Bafana Ntlanipo Majola. I'm actually mixed Mpondo in Zulu.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question, yeah. Here in Africa, we actually use a lot of sacrifices, particularly animal sacrifices for spiritual depths. Maybe I can make an example. Maybe my grandma didn't fulfill some kind of thing here in this lifetime, and then she dies, and then she comes back in dreams and asks maybe for a sacrifice, for a sacrificial ritual for a specific kind of thing, you know. So I would like to know, because I even see it in the Illuminatis and stuff. They usually use a goat, and a goat is actually an animal that's actually used in African spirituality. It's commonly used for sacrifices for spiritual depths. So what does Wu-Sabat, the master teacher, say about that?
Right. We don't do any animal sacrifices or blood sacrifices or anything like that, because if you think about it, it's a negative thing to do, because you're putting pain and, you know, so put trauma and everything, putting the animal through that. And if you're saying is to appease being in the spiritual world, they have no need for the physical animal or the blood. It's just you invoking that energy and your intentions, and entities that exist on those realms will then, you know, do things that will harm, or to you may seem like doing something to help you. This comes from religion and comes from the fact that these entities that you see throughout the Bible, which people call angels and gods and all kinds of names, are these extraterrestrial beings that like blood sacrifice, and they feed off of that negative energy. And so through that, you see all throughout the Bible, you see blood sacrifices, you see animal sacrifices. It tells you that this God loves to smell the savior of burnt carcasses, and they sprinkle blood all over the altar. This goes back to these extraterrestrials, and they're referred to as the Anakim or Moloch. You know, these are the beings that they do disagreeable things in that realm, in that world, and they trap beings that don't know what's going on, like your ancestors may be trapped in those realms, and they hold them kind of hostage to the point where you have to learn how to free them. And you free them by you freeing yourself and binding those disagreeable beings. So to go back to the question in Wu-Sabat, we do not do any form of sacrifices that relate to or incur killing anything or any beings or spilling any blood. We simply speak to our ancestors and know how to communicate with them, and they can help you, or you can help them by you becoming, when you cross over, because you have now succumbed and learned how to turn yourself from a negative 6 ether being to a 9 ether being, then you can actually help. You can actually manifest and get what you want by your own power and energy, by communicating with your ancestors. So yeah, to make it very clear to all listeners and everyone, yeah, we don't do anything to do with blood sacrifices or animal sacrifices in Wu-Sabat.
Oh, Okay, that's clear.
All right. And is there anything else?
Okay, I've got another question for you, please.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, some of I would say we call them as sangomas. Do you know sangomas? People who do divination.
Mm-hmm.
You get me? Yeah, some of them go underwater for initiation, and some of them get initiated by maybe a gobela, a spiritual mentor, to maybe divine other people and solve other people's sicknesses and a lot of spiritual sicknesses, which they also use the blood sacrifice and stuff for them to throw a covenant. But I'm actually focused on the initiates that go underwater. So I would like to know, is the underwater realm, is there a bad side and a good side of the underwater realm?
Yes, of course. There's agreeable and disagreeable in all what you'd call realms in that sense, because beings that were on this planet before the land was brought out were in the waters.
Yeah.
And you had disagreeable beings in the waters. You have all types of like creatures and societies on the water, agreeable and disagreeable. You had mermaids and you know, what's the term for them now? You have merman, that's it. And we evolved from the water as well. This is how we got the reptilian or this disagreeable gene genetics in us. So when you look at us today, we are tied into the genetics of the reptilians and also the greys and other entities. But as original beings, we tie into the agreeable side as well, which is like the dolphins, and tying into beings that are, agreeable. So they're agreeable and disagreeable. We don't really say good or bad in that sense, because it's really positive and negative energy, which can be used for, positive or negative things. So again, even that, what you said about the blood and all of that, there are reptilians and beings that have underwater cities, that have been. See, the thing about the water, the deep, as is referred to in the scriptures, is that when you say the deep, even like submarines and certain beings that have tried to go underneath, they can't go deep. They can only go to a certain level because they don't have any oxygen, and then they can be so deep that they can't get back up. So there are unexplored territories underneath what people call the deep, or the seas, or the waters, that have been there for millions of years. And you have, many types of different extraterrestrials. If you haven't seen our the 33 aliens video, watch that. You see some of these beings. Like it, share it. There's more to come, So yeah, to answer your question directly, you have agreeable and disagreeable beings in every kind of realm that you can think of, until you get to the point where you've kind of like got to the higher realms, where there's just pure agreeable Etherians, where you're dealing with a 720 pure agreeable beings.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, thanks a lot. Thanks about Tawaza. I'm cool.
And Takatherafo, you're welcome. All right. Let's get back to the question. It says by.
I've got that voice on if you want it.
Oh, you got it now. Okay, let's go for it, and then after
Rahubat Seken, Rahubat Muisa,
Rahubat
Anuki Terry Jamal, Tehoti Akenreye from Zambia.
Toa.
So I have a question, because at the moment I'm looking at the quantum existing being. So my question is regarding, because as we know, time is not linear. Then there's the concept of parallel universes and existences.
Right.
So my question is regarding, is there a version of me which exists in a parallel universe? And if so, how can I connect with that version of myself which is in a parallel universe, so that maybe we can be in sync.
Okay.
That was that.
Anti-Catheriforce. Yes. So the answer is yes. There is a parallel universe, and you do exist in that other parallel universe. This is what I was just explaining, in so far as you being in the same space but on different dimensions. The reality is you're already connected with that being, and we referred to this as your counterpart, and your counterpart is you. This is you in a different, as you say, parallel universe. And so because you're in a different parallel universe, what the master teacher is explaining to us is that because you're the same being, when one is asleep, the other one is awake. So it's kind of like if you're walking forward, the other one's walking backwards. It's a complete, for lack of a better word, opposite to you. And he encouraged us to watch a movie called Upside Down to kind of get an idea of, you know, what this may be like visually. This is why when you dream, for example, you may forget parts of the dream, but your counterpart remembers the parts that you don't remember, because you share the same being, but so you might not remember a part, and then they will remember and fill in the gap when you have another dream. You see, you may have been past somewhere, or you're relaying your dream and can't remember certain parts, because when you were sleeping, they were awake, and when you're awake, they're asleep. So how do you become one in tune with them? This is what the whole process of, like, we teach you that in the physical world, in this 3D dimension, you have two sides to you, right? It's the same thing, but we're saying you have 180 degrees of, let's call that disagreeable nature. And then you have another 180 degrees of what we call agreeable nature. And the two together make you up as a complete being in this seen world as a 360 degree being. And the conflict is normally you trying to be agreeable, but the disagreeable side of you, which is influenced by your personality and your ancestors going back, you know, to the 4 generations, this battle is taking place where one is trying to get you to live and do the things they can experience from those dimensions in the physical world that they're no longer able to partake of. So, for example, you're trying to be cleaning yourself, you're trying to clean yourself inside out, where you want to stop eating flesh, stop drinking alcohol, stop drinking or smoking cigarettes or taking drugs, or you know, eating healthy. But then there's a side of you that constantly falls short, so constantly be like, you do it, and then after a while you succumb to that urge or that desire from the disagreeable side. So in order to suppress or bind those spirits that are disagreeable within your matrix, you have to be able to succumb to the agreeable side. So for example, every time you get the urge, you can hear people that used to smoke and they're like, I don't smoke anymore. And then there are people who smoked and they stop and start and stop and start, stop and start. They can't actually completely stop. That's the battle going on. So if you're able to suppress and say not give in to those thoughts, to those urges, to those desires, you would get rid of smoking, right? This is why to stop something, they tell you have willpower. Now, willpower is undecided, or will is undecided until you decide to lean to the agreeable or the disagreeable side. This is why people say your willpower will overcome anything. If you have the willpower to stop doing the disagreeable things, eventually you just kind of be agreeable. Agreeable and disagreeable is not necessarily good or bad. It's just the way you're managing and governing the things you do and the vibration you're in, so that you're not affected by other negative or disagreeable influences. Now, if you did that, instead of being a 180 agreeable and 180 disagreeable in degrees, you now become a complete 360 degrees, and your nature, your environment, your thoughts, your actions will now reflect that, and you will then come into your higher purpose because you're now in tune with your higher self. Now, this repeats when you cross over, and now you're in a different realm, but because you mastered and conquered your disagreeable side on the three-dimensional physical world, now in that world you kind of come across your other counterpart, and the counterpart, if that counterpart is disagreeable, as in they are 360 disagreeable, you're now 360 degrees agreeable, you do the same thing of that being will try to influence you to be disagreeable, but then you will also try to influence them to be agreeable, and then eventually one of you will win, because it's an energetic battle, if you want to use that. And then you now become on the next level a 720 degree agreeable being if you can manage to conquer that being on the 360 disagreeable. So the whole journey is from you to transform from a 180 to a 360 to a 720. And of course 7 plus 2 plus 0 is 9. So you become a 9 ether, fully 9 ether, etheric or Etherean being. Yeah, so that's a great question, Terry. So yes, you do have, and that's how you become in tune with the other side, because you have to do the things that, if they're agreeable and you're more disagreeable, then you have to, by doing the things that you're being influenced by your agreeable counterpart to do, you then merge with them and become pure agreeable. Okay, let's keep.
Just from Terry.
Yeah.
He says, Antak Affair Afu Zamal, much appreciated. Maybe before he goes, he can touch on the link he shared regarding the petition.
Okay, Tua. Yeah, he said you're welcome, Zamal, or brother. So yeah, thank you. Oh, the link, is that what he said?
The petition.
Yeah, it's a petition.
Is that Free Dr. York?
Yeah, the Free Dr. York, but it's on change.org. If you go to that link, you will read all about it. But we, in our fight for the Master's freedom, we don't leave any stone unturned in terms of any avenues. So the petition is one of those avenues to get signatures for people who really care about the Master Teacher's freedom. If you can just go there and sign the petition, it takes literally a few minutes. So that's what that's about. I mean, if you just go and change.org and read about what they do and what they've done for other people, you know, it's just many voices letting the people that need to know that we want him free. Okay, let's go back to the questions. Sometimes if I do get distracted and I forget your question or something I was in the middle of, you have to either prompt me again or put it in the chat. Okay, yeah, so just to finish off that question about the 6 mind and activities of worshipping Amun-Ra, this is where, you know, the dynasties came in and you had the different people that were trying to influence people to do what they want. So, for example, you know, Uncle Natan trying to bring everyone back together to the worship of Atun. So you had those that were, you know, worshipping Amun, and then you had the Amun priesthood, and certain, as I said before, beings that came in with their practices and perversions and started to divide. And, you know, so yeah, in terms of religion, that's kind of where the whole thing about worshipping one God and there's only one God and all of that came from, because everything in terms of the monotheistic religion is actually taken from ancient Egypt. But we know that there were many gods, just as there were many deities in ancient Egypt, and some of them got they got influenced and they started to do things that weren't a part of their original culture. Okay, Nate the Great again. Although that we are all connected, why do people still feel so alone? It's because of even though we are connected, as I keep saying throughout today, we may be connected, but we're on different vibrations and different density levels, to the point where what you're experiencing on a lower vibration. This is why you have the pulling. You have what we call centripetal and centrifugal forces. You have beings on lower vibrations trying to pull everyone down in that direction. You have the beings on the higher dimensions and realms trying to pull everyone up. And because of the division, in terms of, like, you can't unite or be in the same resonance with someone if you want to go one way and they're trying to go the other way. There's going to be friction and a struggle. So the reason you feel alone is because you're not one with those beings that are vibrating on the same resonance. And when you do, you find out that you hear the phrase, birds of a feather flock together, even though it's not an accurate description. It's a matter of, if you share the same resonance, if you share the same mindset, if you share the same kind of like vision and mission, then you won't feel alone, because you will be amongst other beings that are on that frequency. You see, it's only when you're in a vibration and a frequency where, for example, imagine you're amongst 10 people and you're into the culture of Wu-Sabat, and they are not, all the other 9 are into 6 ether or lower vibration and lower forces. You're gonna feel alone, because you don't want to be in that environment. You want to read and study and practice Wu-Sabat, and you got you against 9 that are doing the opposite. So you will feel alone. That's the reality of it. That's why I said that the more you ascend, the more you become aware, the more conscious you are of things that are holding you back or pulling you down in terms of the lower vibrations. Then you're going to feel alone. You're going to have to, you want to go and be around others who are on your vibration. Okay, so that's why you would feel alone, because you're in isolation by yourself. And that's why community, coming into the family, it's like people come around us and they're just like, I thought I was crazy thinking all this stuff. Now I feel happy being amongst people who share and know what I know. I always knew it. And then you feel you can have conversations about all sorts, extraterrestrials, about, astral projection, what your gifts are, dealing with your higher senses, telepathy, intuition, clairvoyance, and all the things that you experience when you're in a higher vibration. Yeah, I just want to, just take a little break and hydrate. Okay, let's keep going. Nate the Great, you're asking a lot of questions today. What is considered the food of life? Is it that what we should be solely eating? No, the food of life is foods that are alive, because you're alive. And what we do, a lot of us, is we eat a lot of low vibration or dead food, and dead food is actually has very little nutritional value, and it's just decomposing and basically not something you should be consuming. It's like you eat food, your body is designed to take the nutrients out to give you vitality, and then the waste is eliminated, through you take it from one hole and it comes out of the other hole where you've taken out all the goodness, and then the rest is, to recycle and go back. So if you're eating live foods, they are more what we call alkaline, as opposed to the dead ones that are more acidic. So watery foods, things that have life, because where there's water, there's life, right? So, like cucumbers, You know, I'm not going to say it because sometimes, remember, when it comes to diet and food, it's down to you to know what your being and your body, you have to study your body as well to see what your body rejects. But generally, it's eating live foods, foods that are high in alkaline. And you don't just eat one thing solely. But once you learn and know your body, you will know what's good for you. So rather than eat a million different things and you don't know which of them is having an effect on you, if you did study and just ate and have the same diet, a simple diet, you will know when you eat something else that's not part of that diet, you see. So, for example, if you don't eat meat at all and then you eat meat one day and then you feel sick, or, do you know what I mean? Then you will know, okay, that definitely doesn't agree with my body. I mean, I hear what you're saying because squirrels eat the same nuts all year round. So once you know what diet is good for you, you can maintain it. But at the same time, you may need other nutrients or vitamins, or you guys say vitamins and minerals, etc., that you're deficient in. So you may have to find a source that gives you that mineral, etc. Okay. All right, let's see what the next question is. Okay. TGF B4 Ever, Grand Rising Kings, Rahubat greetings. Love to see brothers teaching the masters, teachers knowledge. Yeah, not just brothers, brothers and sisters. Zamal Wu-Zamal Tattoo. Right, so love to see all of us teaching Wu-Sabat, because we keep saying each one teach one, and that's how we get the word out and we reach each person. Ahiru, Prince Hall established in 1775 under the direction of the Grand Lodge of Ireland, who were actually aligned with the British Army. I did a song about it in it titled 360 or 33. Yeah, tour. Like I said, read the introduction, any introduction of, you know, the books from the master teacher that tells you his journey, and he's walked all those, you know, those paths, and come out as that being Tahuti. Catriel. Okay, wait, yeah. Catriel says, truth will always set us free from the disagreeable ones. Absolutely. Thanks to the master teacher. Thanks to you all for your great work. Thank you, Tawat. Remember the number to ring? Really? Wow. I've just been prompted that we've already done, we've already gone over time, man. You see, when you get into Wu-Sabat, it's like time just stops. So anyone who hasn't got their question answered, I can see there are loads I didn't get through till today. Join the Telegram group, ask your question, or come early next time and ask your question first so you're at the top. But as usual, it's always a pleasure. Like I said, help us to help you, to help each other. Sign the petition. We've got the link which says, how can I help, if you would like to help. Read the scrolls, transform yourself, become a part of the community, go to your local bookstores and temples, and yeah, learn and know where to be, what to do. Just before I go, what did the brother say, if I can touch on just before?
It was that petition.
Oh yeah, the petition, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have a Nuwapian man meeting very soon. And if you're in the Telegram group, that's for those who are available in the UK. So I just wanted to touch on that. We're going to be celebrating our new year, 26th of June. As in, yeah, we want the master home. And there are lots of things that we've got to do. There's a lot happening in the world, and we've got to come together, unite. All right? So Tawukum, thank you all. Wu-Wadu. Until next week, same time, same place. Our souls matter.
Proper black history. You won't get it nowhere else at all.
Islam is a beautiful religion for the Muslims.
Christianity is a beautiful religion for the Christians. As Sabaeans, we have our own culture, our own scriptures, our own way of life, which is Wu-Sabat.
Naut Mugdad Badet Pata, Naut Mukhlas Badet Yam.
Wu-Sabat is not a religion, it predates religion. So we don't really subscribe to like the monotheistic religions. And even when you get to Africa, you know, people might talk about Egypt or Kemet or these various names, but our ancestors, they actually go back to the stars from the Orion and Sirius constellation.
In the Bible, Genesis, Adam and Eve, what color were they?
He was a Hindu. Adam was from Atum and Lilith. Those were his parents. We've got their pictures in our scrolls as well. So how do we get pictures? As 9 ether beings, we can travel to different times. We can go backwards in time and forward in time. We can go into different dimensions. We can be channels. I have watched many false teachers pass. I have watched churches who has come not to change the books, but to untangle and straighten and put them in an order that can be read and understood by any and all. No one in the heavens above or below the earth or under earth has the ability to make all of the true untampered scriptures, which are the words of the Most High, so clear. For I do not speak from myself, but the words flow through me from the very lips and hearts of those mentioned in the pamphlets I put forth. Read the scrolls. Don't reject me. Don't deny me. Don't slander me. I am your savior. Come and follow me. Brother at the back, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
You see how it says our savior is here?
Yeah.
Who's our? Is it just black people?
No, not at all. Our, because every race has been sent their own warner. For us, as black people, if you want to use that word, we're not even black, but we know what you mean but when we use that word. So yes, he sent to us, just like every other race was sent their warner, but these beings, they have a message for the entire world because what they teach is for humanity.
That's what wu-nuwapu is about. Sound, right, nothing else. All we wanted the facts. We've accepted the faith. We had faith in Allah. We had faith in Christ. We had all the faiths we get. We got bags of faith. We had our foot on the radio. We had our knees and forehead on the ground. I mean, we reached out for God, every which way. As a people of color, we've reached for God in everything from, I seen brothers as highly Christians with little ball and knots. We tried everything. Now we're saying we want to ask questions. We want nothing but facts.
In order for the information to turn into knowledge, what has to take place? We talked about reasonability. Without reasonability, you can't transfer or transform the information into knowledge. It is through sound reasoning how you take information and turn it into knowledge.
And one of the famous things that people who are familiar with him will know, he always said, don't believe me, check it out.
Don't believe me. Check it out.
Says stuff, he can't prove it. Everything I say, I prove. That's what makes me different. They talk about stuff they can't prove.
The man that has made it possible for the Nuwabian nation to be established throughout the world. He has touched many hearts and has opened many minds to the truth. So without further ado, here's Dr. Malachi Z. York.
They're going to know who I am. They're going to realize by this book who I really am.
What woke you up to the New World Order, these globalist elites and eugenicists?
The main thing that woke me up to it was a writer named Dr. York, a spiritual teacher from Brooklyn. He had a whole community over in Bushwick, on Bushwick Avenue, called the Answer Allah community. Like real heavy into like just studying the origins of religions, of cultures, politics, the origins of everything. And that's how you really get to the bottom of things, when you study the origins of it. So that's what I learned reading his books, and it all came from him.
A series of books he puts out are called Actual Facts or The Master's Secrets. But we've also got our own way of life for the culture, which is known as Partarak.
Master Teacher's written various amount of books on extraterrestrials. He's got an extraterrestrial. So this would be crash retrieval. This is a crash retrieval in New Mexico. The different descriptions of the Greys, Draconians, Maccabeans, beings from Benetrak, Roswell incident, autopsy of the extraterrestrial, the Tyros, cone heads. So they come from the Gemini star constellation.
Now the Tyros, who people know as the cone-shaped heads, right? They have 48 chromosomes. And because the human being, or humans, have 46 chromosomes, that's 23 from your mother and 23 from your father, giving you 46. When they mixed with the humans, they produced a being with 47 chromosomes, which basically resulted in what people call Down syndrome. And that's why no matter what race you are, if you have those 47 chromosomes or Down syndrome, then you're going to have the same features regardless of whether you're black, white, Chinese, etc.
So you've got other descriptions here, the Duanes as well.
These are the short porcupine looking types of beings because their hair sticks out. They're quite, this is what people get like the story of dwarfs and things like that from. They're very intelligent and they study Shakespeare. And so when you start to look at the ailments that people have who have mixed with them, they suffer from something called hirsutism, which is when you have hair all over your body. And this is because of the mixture with these Duanis. And the same as what we call the Deros. The Deros are like very obese, fat looking with like an elephant trunk. And you get a lot of people on the planet who are obese in terms of they weigh so much. And it's because no matter how much diet they go on or how much exercise they do, they can't get rid of the weight. That's because, again, they've been mixed with these beings called the Deros. And most of these beings were residing, some have left, but a lot of them are and were residing in the caverns in the earth.
Also dealing with like the webs in the hands. It shows you like the 3 stages from the sperm, which would be similar to the tadpole. Then you have the second stage, which would be when you do the scan of the baby, which would be like 3 to 4 weeks, which would be like that of a Ramadian form of grey. And then the full stage would be where you would be Homo sapien, which would be mammal and reptilian. Most of these extraterrestrials also live in the center of the earth. You've got the knuckles here. These are skulls that they found. A lot of people think that we're making these up, but yeah, this is information that scientists are backing up, archaeologists are backing up. I was doing shopping in Peckham, so I had this inner thought that said to me, yeah, go into the indoor market. So I went in there and met 2 brothers and they started talking about the master teacher's information. By the time I thought black religion or black Christianity, kind of not interested in it, but I bought a video, Roswell video. So I went home, watched that, and then my oldest brother came about 3 days later with one of Malachi's videos called Elohim, and he was talking about us being God's ancient Egypt, how we'd be misinformed. So yeah, from then I got hooked up on it, yeah. He was always saying that just use the information as like, don't get hooked up on it, but yeah, got hooked up on it, man. Remember back in the days they used to have these Shambhala bracelets. They were called crystals or made out of crystals. So this will be tying into these. See Shambhala. Crystal City. Another extraterrestrial. This person here. Visit the White House. So people can do some research on Valiant 4. We see the master teacher's already read about him.
My name's Basta Nafatat Ka'anku and I manage the Nashat store here in Croydon. I heard about Wu-Sabat or Nuwapians about 30 plus years ago. I was visiting a friend, we were just laughing and joking, and then I could hear a voice in the background. He had a videotape of the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Ashhadu anna kullu rasul rasulullah. I bear witness to Allah alone and He has no partners. And I bear witness to all the apostles that come from Allah.
Being a follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through his National Representative Louis Farrakhan, I would just like to know is the dress code of bow tie and suits, is that in any way an abomination of Allah's will compared to the Ansaru community with white garb?
The dress code of the Nation of Islam serves its purpose in that which Minister Louis Farrakhan is trying to get across to the people if you pay attention to him. He is talking about what the white man owes you. Right. And how you should go about trying to get it. He's talking about the possibility of a return to a place called Nubia. Listen close. I didn't say Africa. Africa is a curse word. Akubaland is a curse word. Break it down. All these are tricks by the devil. Don't fall into them tricks.
That's right.
The word Africa means to divide something. Baraka. To break us up into pieces. And that's why when you get to Mother, the home of Nubia, you find Nigerians, Ghanaians, or Ghana, what do you call it, Sierra Leone, Morocco, Libya, Sudan, Ethiopia. And if you talk to an Ethiopian, he'll say he's not what a Sudanese is. You talk to the president of Nigeria, he'll say he's not what an Ethiopian is. But here in this country here, they're all Christians. And they break their Christianity down into denominations. Denominations. But they still say one nation under God. And they'll say it's not impossible to divide it, indivisible, they say. But when it comes to us, the Muslim family, we call ourselves Sunni or Shia or Bilalian or the 5% nation or the Israelite Hebrews or the Nation of Islam, we all want to be divided. The Christians, as ignorant as we consider them in their teachings, are able to live in one nation and call themselves Baptists, Pentecostal, Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witness, Catholic, multiple denominations of Catholics exist. Romans, Greeks, the Coptics. But when it comes to Muslims, because of ego, we can't live as one nation under Allah. We can't get in a room together. The Sunnis don't even belong in this game.
That's right. That's right.
You don't belong in this game because you're not saying you're black.
Bring it out, brother.
And if you're not black, you don't belong in this room with us.
All right now.
It's a black thing.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
And if you can't see who the devil is, in 1990,
wake us up. Wake us up.
If you can't see what the devil is doing all over the world today to people, our people, people of color, then you're blind, brother.
That's right.
And the Quran says you're blind.
That's right.
It says deaf. How are they deaf? Because regardless of how many times Malcolm X jumps up and down, or Noble Drew Ali jumps up and down, or Clarence 13X jumps up and down, or Minister Louis Farrakhan jumps up and down, or Yahweh Ben Yahweh jumps up and down, regardless of how many times black people jump up and down to make you see the white man don't love you. The white man loves his dog more than he loves you. Before he feeds you. You don't see no welfare for dogs, do you? The white man ain't gonna give you nothing. And for you Sunnis, I'm saying, the people that you are worshiping,
Bring it out, bro.
are worshiping the white man.
Come on, that's right. Come on with it.
You flying over to Saudi Arabia to run around the Kaaba and kiss a black stone and worship it and shake hands with a bunch of pale Arabs. Right. And they call Minister Louis Farrakhan over there. Go ahead, you beg to go. And they invite him over. That's right. They're all the Sunni Muslims in America, smiling and shining. There's no racism in Islam.
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the messenger of Allah for the Europeans, for the Americans.
Out of all the brothers in the United States, the Saudi Arabians invite Minister Louis Farrakhan, knowing he's teaching from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, knowing that he taught that the white man is the devil and Mr. Worthy Muhammad. You cannot reform the devil.
So I asked, who is he? I asked, where is he from? And he mentioned to me that they had classes in Brixton. And I asked him if he could give me more information. He said that he knows a brother that goes to the classes. So I invited them all down to my place to teach me some more about Wu-Sabat, and about the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York, and that was me hooked.
Why were I having those dreams before I got the understanding that I learned from reading the scrolls?
Now pay attention to this answer. Any man you meet that you walk up to and tells you why you're having dreams about what you're dreaming about, don't ever listen to them again. Because they're phony. The reason